Appreciate everybody for joining us once again. Another episode, which I think we are now at episode number, geez, where we at now? 98. Slowly getting there. Slowly but surely getting to where we need to be for the podcast. What you're watching and listening to right now, unless you've been living under a rock. Take the podcast. Find it anywhere you find your favorite podcast: iTunes, Google Podcasts, Red Circle, Spotify, Stitcher. What else am I leaving out? Oh, of course, Spreaker. Also, find us on the Flow Television. Love my people over there at the Flow Television, getting us all hooked up to where you can also watch on Fire TV. So if you got that Fire Stick and all that, you don't want to pay for all the cable and all that, then you can check us on Fire TV. Also on Apple TV, on Roku TV, the whole nine. I could just imagine my boys back there just in the green room, crazy laughing at me right now. Like, look at this dude just plugging everything. And I know that got to be Raphael probably. But even more so, make sure you go and do your part by subscribing. Tell a friend, tell your enemies, tell your mama, tell your grandmama, tell your baby mama where you can find the best, the most entertaining, the most informational, and the most educational basketball content on the planet in the form of a podcast called Tate's Take. Now, I'm going to get ready to bring my guys in here because I know they've been waiting ever so patiently and long enough for me to stop running my mouth and get to the main course meal of the program, which is obviously the NBA season, kind of somewhat officially getting ready to tip off with tomorrow. Training camp is going to be starting. A lot of NBA teams today had NBA media days availability, and I wouldn't want to share this experience with nobody other than two guys that was also a part of that media availability for one team in particular, that being the Atlanta Hawks, sharing some of that media space with me. So without further ado, let me go ahead and bring them in here. Let's go with this gentleman first, man, because this is, I think, his first time. I feel like maybe second time me bringing him on. A good buddy of mine and loving all the work that he does. Of course, not sure why there's an echo, but it's there. We're just gonna move on past it. That would be none other than Edwin Powell, podcast host and jack of all trades. He thought I was, look at him. He ain't even reading the bottom of the ticker right there. He thought I was joking. I said, Ed, what should I bring you on the show and introduce you as? Because I know you got a podcast and you're doing so many different things. Jack of all trades, you know how we do. So I said, I'm going to put that in there. Jack of all trades, you know how we do. From the Hawks Beat podcast, go and check out my boy's podcast. It's phenomenal, outstanding, super dope. Follow him on Twitter at Hawksbeat, at HAWKSBEAT. Ed, what's popping, bro?
What's going on, man? Thanks for having me on, man. We've been trying to connect for the longest, but glad we're able to kind of chop it up a little bit, man. You know how we do.
Yeah, no doubt, no doubt. You and me both, man, and been looking forward to it for quite some time. And this is gonna be eventful. This is gonna be fun, man. And I want to get into it, but not before I bring the other homie on. A Midwest constituents of mine. I can't spell that word, but I'm gonna say it like I own it. So I want to make sure that I bring him in and definitely want to show him some love. That's none other than Raphael Haynes, owner, CEO, sounding all important and stuff, and radio host from the Deep 3-Point Conversion. Find him on social media at 3-Point Conversion, at 3PTCNVRSN. That was a lot to get through. What's up, cuz?
What's up, y'all? Did you miss me? Y'all know I'm back
There
in the
you go.
building with Ed. What up, Ed?
You know the drill, man. How you doing, brother?
I'm good, bro. Ready to talk some Hawks.
Let's do it.
No doubt, no doubt, no doubt. I want to find out from you guys first. We're gonna start out with Ed in terms of some of your takeaways that you saw and heard from Hawks Media Day on today. We're gonna get into some of the other stuff in terms of your realistic expectations on the next go around. But for this one, just some of the major takeaways. Did anything surprise you? This is one of them weird days where it's like people tend to give some of these like silly questions or kind of as if, the sports today needs another reason for media to be able to ask some of the questions we ask. But it happens. This was a little bit more on the serious side, I feel like. I don't know if you guys agree with me. What are some of your takeaways, starting with Ed?
Media day is kind of like a necessary evil, right? There's nothing really that you glean too much, like no breaking news. The main things people want to know Is DeAndre healthy? Is Cam healthy? Is Bogey healthy? They really want to know are the guys healthy. And that's kind of the main takeaways that you get from that. DeAndre said he should be ready to go by opening night. Other than that, it was kind of a lot of what did you work on? What do you hope? What are your goals? That type of stuff. It can be a little monotonous, but they seem poised and ready to go. So it's going to be interesting to see how they respond to such a great season last year.
Awesome choice of words too. Monotonous. That's another one I'm gonna have to write down. I don't know I can spell it worth a crap, but I'm gonna have to tap in with my dude Iron Mike Dyson a little bit later. And if you don't know who he is or heard of his pops, I'm pretty sure he has a really interesting way of knowing it and spelling it in the definition and all that good stuff. Let's jump over to you, Raphael. What are some of your takeaways? Anything surprise you, shock you by any stretch of the imagination?
Well, first of all, the reason why I was so straight by the book, Ed, because we wasn't there in person. So we would have made it live when we was in there. But either
hey, that's
or,
a whole nother podcast. They not ready for that one.
second tier. All right. So anyway, what I took from it is basically everybody was like all in one accord. I mean, they followed the leader and Nate McMillan. Nate McMillan came out and said, "Hey, it's not about last year. Last year is last year. We want to improve. We want to get home court advantage, and it's just trickled down from everyone." I, what I liked about it is just the fact that, as you mentioned, yeah, we weren't there, but usually everybody's loose and everything. But everybody seemed ready, like they were focused. Like it was just different. Everybody grew up. Even with Cam, we spoke about it earlier, DeShaun, how everybody was just like he wasn't that shy kid that sat on the edge of the seat waiting for somebody to say something where he was going to defend. He was ready. Everyone was focused. They talked about just being on one accord. They talked about being mentally ready, want to do more, but at the same time, just focusing on just getting better. Getting home court advantage, and I like that from there. And I was more impressed with that than anything. Coach Nate was the most relaxed out of everybody. Go figure. He's really serious usually, but he was relaxed, and to me, that gave a sign like, look, I'm good with my guys. We're in a good place. When the season starts, everyone's going to be healthy. We have a game plan. Everybody has bought in. Yeah, so that's what I took from it.
No doubt, no doubt. I see much of it the same way. A lot of seriousness, which I mean, these guys are, they're. Of course, it's all about having fun. I think Trey kind of mentioned something like that. Like, how good is the game if you're not really having fun and enjoying playing it and just the experiences and everything all across the board? And then it kind of got me thinking, like, there's a lot of seriousness. I don't think a lot of these athletes really have a great time being interviewed and things like that. But I like to think that we're a really fun group too. By the way. Cam Reddish, I mean, listen, I told you this before, Raphael, that when it comes to guys like John Collins, he's the class clown, so to speak,
Right.
of the bunch all the time. But in his own ways of not trying to be funny for real, Cam Reddish could be pretty funny himself. And I think he'd be thinking he's serious, but then he'd be like, you know, I don't know if it's a joke or what. Like he has a hard time understanding, which that's just always funny because I think he's just being so serious, and that makes it even more funnier. Your not necessarily reactions, but your realistic expectations for this team, because everybody knows a lot of people didn't get a chance to see them. They didn't play on very many nationally televised games. They will get that chance this year. And a lot of people just weren't paying attention to him, didn't get a chance to see him, came out and shocked a lot of people, especially after this team got completely healthy, which was happened at the right time until luck, according to people outside of Georgia, ran out. Nate McMillan mentioned that as well. Coming off the Eastern Conference Finals appearance, what's next up for this team? I want to find out from you first, Ed, because I guess ultimately, long story longer, trying to find out is like what do you feel like needs to happen for this team maybe to not be considered a disappointing season? What are your realistic expectations? Like if not nothing else, this team has to do or to be this. What is that this for Edwin Powell?
I would say this. I would say this team's ability to turn the page is going to directly affect their success. Meaning, that I think with the 60-win team, we all covered that team. It was a lot of, oh, well, they won 60 games that year. And it's like people were still talking about the 60-win team like 5 and 6 years later. Their ability to get last year out of their mouth, you know what I'm saying, and get that nasty taste out of their mouth and just move forward and realize, look, that was last year. This is a whole nother year. They're coming for us this year. I think their ability to focus on this year is going to be really important. I think Nate can do it. He's a vet. Nate isn't a rookie. Like, I don't know why folks were surprised when Nate came on and started playing well. Like, check his numbers. My man is official. But to answer your question, I would say this team is definitely a top 4 team in the East. I don't think they're better than Brooklyn. I don't think they're better than Milwaukee. I got them right there with Milwaukee. I think they're better than Philly because, I mean, you take Ben Simmons out the equation. I'm not really that high on Philly. But I think this is a top 4 team. The ceiling might be top 3, knocking on 2. I think that's what the expectation is. Go into the playoffs, you roll the dice, anything can happen.
Raphael, realistic expectations for this team. Obviously, Ed feels like that this is a team that could potentially. I feel like around this time last year, I was asking most people, and they're like, probably right on the inside of the playoffs, maybe at 8. I feel like at best a 7. Who knows? I mean, if they can get a 6, it's like throw a parade downtown on Peachtree. This team got a 5 and was right there knocking on the door of a 4. What did you hear during media days on today in regards to some of the things that they feel like that they have to do and some of that their goals are, including your realistic expectations?
Well, they have to stay focused, not worry about last season like they talked about. Just play with that chip still on their shoulder still. What I did like about what everyone said, most of everybody said, was either, Trey always felt like he disrespected. If you tell Trey, hey man, I like your hair, he gonna take that as disrespect. That's just how he is. He's cut from that cloth.
He light skinned, bro. That's just what we do. We so tired of people jumping on us all the time. That's just what we do, man. We take offense to everything. We sensitive. Sensitivity. You remember that? I'm gonna throw it back. Don't make me throw it back on old school. And go ahead, Rob.
Right? But yeah. So Trey and everyone, they were like, we still felt like we're not getting respect, or as John mentioned, we might not be an underdog, but we're a dark horse. So they still have that chip on their shoulder, which is. That's great. That's great. You want that. Last year, it's funny you say that. Last year, I'm recorded on my radio show and everyone else's podcast. I said they was going to finish at least at the worst 5. I said they can get 4. One thing they do have, I think, the fact that they can take advantage of that everyone else doesn't really have. I don't believe. I mean, I'm not in everybody's locker room. I covered a few teams last year and was able to see what they were. Did and how they, reacted with each other when they did work bad or good. The Hawks are a close-knit team, and they're young, but they got enough veterans to, keep them in lineup. I mean, honestly, I don't have like one vet, and that's Lou. Everybody else like 25 and under. Like Clinton's like was the oldest person at 26, which is crazy. But they're close-knit, and then the fact that they love their coach. They love each other. They love, like, their playing styles mesh with each other. For instance, Brooklyn is great. We know Brooklyn's top 2 team, but why are they a top 2 team? Because you have 3 of the top players in that league. But do their styles mesh like that? Not necessarily. The other top tier teams are like that. Hawks, everything meshes. Correct. Trey drives to the hole. You got somebody to shoot lob. You have shooters. You got defenders. I mean, no one is stepping each other's way, So I think that's going to bode well for them. But the thing is, I got them finishing maybe 4, but in the playoffs, it's a different story. This is the team that you don't want to play in the playoffs. Again, they're mad at the world. They believe they can win and beat anyone. Man, I think they get back to the conference finals again. I just don't think it's Milwaukee is. I like Milwaukee's team, even Brooklyn, but as you saw, they still a problem. Like, it's hard to defend this team, especially when you got Trey being the way he is, and then you got everyone else coming in, healthy Cam, a healthy DeAndre. I got them going to the Eastern Conference Finals once again. Now, if they go past that, I'm not saying I don't know they could, but number 4 in the regular season, but Eastern Conference Finals again.
Who do you got them knocking off? Brooklyn or Milwaukee? Because those are the obvious teams. You have to have them knocking off one of those two.
Not necessarily, because Brooklyn and they might mess around and knock each other off 2 and 3. You never know. But honestly, if they do, I think they can knock out Brooklyn. I just think they can score, but just the way they're constructed, man, like it's gonna be hard to stop a KD and Harden. But I just feel like they're getting in each other's way. If someone's hot, are they? And Harden played great last year. Harden was dishing the rock, but with a Kyrie. If Kyrie's going to be able to play in Brooklyn, so Harden might get that game, but
that's a whole another podcast.
Right. But let's say if Kyrie is playing, I just wonder if would they beat a Oklahoma City Thunder of 2000? What was that? 2016 or 15? Whatever year that was when they lost to Golden State, when they couldn't decide who was hot. It was just Russ. If Russ grabbed the rebound, Russ is bringing it up. If Durant grabbed the rebound, Durant is bringing it up. That's why I feel like Hawks can beat them. I just feel like somebody's going to take an ill-advised shot instead of passing to the guy that's hot, and I think the Hawks going to be able to beat them.
So first, I was about to get on Ed about saying something along the lines of a 3 seed and knocking on the door of a 2 seed. So I was going to get on him about pretending to be drinking water in that bottle when it's really the vodka stuff. But then Raphael turns around and says something about the Hawks beating the Brooklyn Nets to go. Oh no. I thought me and you, because we was both bald, I figured I might, but nah, like I don't know where to go with that.
Close to light skin, but
yeah, close. Not everybody.
In Chicago in the wintertime, I would be light skinned, but go ahead.
That is a good point. Now you made a very good point. I don't know if that says anything about you or the fact that I've been in the South for 16 years and I'm not getting no darker, just more red. But that's not important. Listen, I want to ask you guys about X factors for this particular team, but not before I ask you what somebody else just mentioned here. Shout out to Hoop Baller Scoop for jumping in here on Facebook and following us. Of course, you know that you can always watch there because we stream there as well live. Saying that they might be lacking another star player. I'm assuming that means either A, before they can win a championship, or B, before they can go to the NBA Finals. Are they lacking another star player? Because in my own personal opinion, I don't think you could just put any star player here. You know, I think it has to be the right star player. And when you say star player, does it have to be a superstar player? Because we know that there's a fine line, or lack thereof, that you draw in the sand between who's considered superstar players and who's considered all-star players. With or without either of those things, is that something, starting with you, Ed, that you feel like this team needs to be able to make it to where they're playing, at least let's just say, in the final series of the NBA playoffs?
I think he's on to something, to be honest with you. Look at the last teams that have won championships. They've all had at least a Batman and a Robin, at least. You got to go all the way back to the chip that maybe Detroit won, when you had that synchronicity of 5 players and you didn't really have that one guy, you know. You go even further back to maybe the Houston Rockets chips with Akeem, but Akeem was just, you know, on another planet. So is it possible? Yeah, I would say. I don't think it's likely. I just don't. I mean, I think he's right. I think you do need another gun in there. Now, here's the caveat. John Collins just got his money, you know. Is he that guy? Is he that guy that comes up and says, you know what, I need to be that number 2? Because he had said today that, you know, I need to be more aggressive in certain spots. John's a young guy. Is this the year he takes the leap? I don't know, but I think he's raised a very valuable question. You know, when you look at championships, they all got a Batman and Robin, and I would be hard pressed to say I don't know who the Robin is on this team, to be honest with you. That's no disrespect. That's just the reality of it.
But is that actually a good thing to not know who the Robin is? Because the Robin can be whoever that is on any given night. It could be the hot hand, that can be just the Robin by committee. Or do you feel a little bit better and more confident and more comfortable with this team having a bona fide Robin, despite the other situation I just explained?
I would be more comfortable if I had a bona fide number 2. All the team stuff, it's good for 60 wins, right? We've seen it. It's good for 60 wins. But if we're talking about playoff basketball and your dog doesn't have it and he turns an ankle or something happens, and you got a guy like Chris Middleton can come up and get you buckets when you know that he's getting the ball and he's still going to score, that's what I'm talking about. And I don't know if the Hawks have that, to be honest with you. I mean, they got a ton of guys who can give you 25 on any given night. But I'm talking about when the rubber meets the road, when it's playoff times. Do you have a guy like a Chris Middleton, like an Anthony Davis, like a whatever the number 2s are, whoever you want to call it, that can come up and get you buckets in playoff basketball? They may have it. I don't know. I'm just saying I haven't seen it as of yet.
Raphael, let me ask you this, because listen, a lot of people thought on draft night that player probably would be Cam Reddish by this time in his career. A lot of people think coming off of last year, if he can stay healthy, that player is DeAndre Hunter, if maybe not being considered the Robin, if not being considered this title or that title or labeled as this or that. He's the second best player rather, on this team next to Trae Young. And some people say, without question, is John Collins. That duo between each other, is clearly, he would be considered the Robin. Now he's got his money. A lot of people were feeling like, that was his opportunity when Trae went down to be able to say, let me step in place of Trae in these type of performances is why you pay me my money. He didn't necessarily have those performances that was ideal to a lot of people, and he still ended up getting the money anyways. Does he have to be that Robin? Who is that player in your mind, and do they have to have that type of player to be playing in the last series of the playoffs?
Okay, can y'all hear me?
I can hear you.
Okay, I can't hear you. So, all right. Sorry about that if y'all can't hear me. I can't hear y'all. So we just do it like this. All right, I can hear y'all. All right, so I'm gonna tell you who I don't know about Cam yet. We don't know. We won't find out until the season, because he hasn't been healthy, like you stated before. But he hasn't been healthy, and this is his first year coming into the season healthy. So the good thing is the fact that the last 2 games or 3 games, I say the last 2 games of the playoffs, his confidence went out the roof just because of the fact that he was playing well. He helped keep the Hawks, if you want to say in the game, kind of in the game, that last game. So his confidence is through the roof. I don't know if he's that second guy, but I want to comment on what Ed was saying, because Ed is right. The biggest thing is if Trae gets hurt, like we saw last year. But if he doesn't get hurt, I'm going to just name one team, and they didn't even have a superstar like that. And you should know this very well, DeShaun. You know what I'm about to say. Detroit Pistons. That 04 Detroit Pistons team, as long as you stay together, as long as you're a close-knit team, you play together, everybody know their roles, there's no egos, they can win. We saw them win last year. If it wasn't for Trae getting hurt, I think Hawks would have been in the finals. And let's keep it real. Trae didn't really have a good shooting performance in the conference finals, but his will to win and everybody jumping in, like you stated, DeShaun, you had people or different players at different times stepping up. So I think you can do that. And then speaking of John Collins, because he got his money, he's not looking over his shoulder at the GM or at his bank or at the clock saying, man, am I going to, stay with this team? Because he didn't play well last year. But I think it was so much on his mind. He bet on himself, and John, my dog, but he didn't win, crapped out. But I think that was because he had so much going on. But I think now the simple fact that he's, he has his money. He stated today, I got my brothers with me. Forget the money. I'm here in Atlanta. I don't have to worry about that. I think John Collins goes back to that year when he was like one of 3 players that had 20 and 10 throughout the season.
And I think that was the same year, if I'm not mistaken, that he was right on the outside of maybe being considered for the All-Star. Ed, you look like you was about to say something. I'm not really sure. Was you about to jump in and
yeah, I was just gonna say, hey, when Raphael said, "Forget the money," no, brother, don't forget the money. Hey, but I pushed back on the Hawks thing with where you mentioned the Hawks, have given the Bucks a better shot of Trey is healthy. I always push back on that because if all things are fair, if you give us a healthy Trey, you got to give Milwaukee a healthy Giannis. And from what I saw last year, Giannis just wasn't going to be denied. I think the Hawks would have put up a better fight, but at the end of the day, Milwaukee was going to win that chip regardless. But yeah, don't forget about the money.
No, you can never forget. If it ain't about the money,
ain't about the money.
If it ain't about the money, it ain't about nothing, baby. I want to ask you guys this now. I asked Clint Capela in media day earlier. He was very vocal last year. And what was it exactly? Did he guarantee a win or something along those lines? Somebody help me out a little bit, because I know he said
he
vocal.
guarantees a playoff. He guarantees like pretty much the playoffs, which isn't really much, in the East. It's not. I don't think it'll make that much of a splash, but okay, in the East, when 10 teams make it, I mean, it's not really much of a. He wasn't calling a home run here in the World Series.
No doubt. And I just recall, I'm like, I heard something along the, and make no mistake about it. I mean, that's going to be a lot easier guarantee for him to make last year than it is this year. You got a lot of teams that are getting better. Chicago's added some pieces. Charlotte has, gotten a little bit better, and they were right there on the outside looking in. You've got quite a few pieces that are just constantly, looking forward to getting better and things of that nature. So I think it'll be interesting. But I say all of that because I asked him, listen, you guaranteed something, okay? I know it's early. People don't like to make guarantees this early. But if you can guarantee us and Hawks Nation and the whole 9 anything this upcoming year, what would that thing be? He said, I guarantee the playoffs. Okay. I know that might not be. You're supposed to do that, especially coming off the Eastern Conference Finals. For you guys, I guess I'll propose the question to you. If you guys can guarantee the people that are watching right now, all 2 of them, okay, anything right now guaranteed, without any basketball being played yet, what do you guys feel confident? Not something that's the most obvious of obvious. Go out on a limb a little bit. I'm building it up for a reason because I want you guys to think about it. If there's something that you can either A, guarantee, or B, feel extremely confident about, then maybe it's something that a lot of other people are really thinking about right now when it comes to this Hawks. What is some of you feel that confident that you can either guarantee or almost guarantee, starting with Edwin, that we'll see from this Hawks team this year?
The first thing that pops in my mind is just entertainment. Like, why do we play this game? They play the game to win a championship and everything, but folks pack that stadium to be entertained. And that place, it is rocking. I remember back in the days covering the Hawks where it wasn't rocking. So if nothing else,
welcome to the party, Ed.
Yeah.
Welcome to the party. I've been waiting on somebody else to show up.
Hey, I go back to the Josh Smith and Josh Childress days, But if nothing else, this team will be entertaining. Trey, he lives for that. He's a showman. You know what I'm saying? If nothing else, when you get that ticket to go to the arena, you will be entertained. You will be entertained, and that's a guarantee.
All right. Raphael, what can you guarantee or nearly guarantee that you think that we'll see from this team this year?
Well, I guess this is cheating because I said this 2 years ago, but I guarantee that Trey Young will be top three in MVP voting this year. I think.
Interesting.
I mean, right now he has everybody's attention. So the league is watching now. The league know who they are. They're playing on national TV. Uh, they're competing. They're beating good teams, very good teams, even the great teams in the league. And if he's putting up 25 and 9, that's MVP number, especially if you're winning 50 some games. So I believe they're gonna win 50 over 50 games. So if you're winning, if they win over 50 games and finish in the top four or top three, MVP voting watch top three. Now if he wins it, I don't know. I'm not saying he will. I'm not saying he won't, but at least top three MVP voting. I mean, come on, man. Like if you think about it, you think of the players that's getting MVP votes. Like we know Steph went crazy, but Steph them they didn't even make the playoffs. I mean, they would have been in the playoffs. No, I think they would have been in the playoffs. I think with the 7 and 8 seed when they played the Lakers, it was the 8 seed. But still,
Mm.
he had 30 points a game, 31, 32, whatever it was, like 6 assists. When you got somebody getting 25, 27, and 9 assists, those are MVP numbers. Hence, as look at your boy Steve Nash, 18 and 9. But he was on notice. If the league loved him, they were playing on national televised games. They were a top three team. So if they're a top three team and he's getting 25 and 9, those are great numbers, exceptional numbers. So top three MVP voting. I said it, Mr. Controversy.
Yeah, mark it down. You heard it here first. I just see the smirk on Edwin's face, and I can only imagine what he's thinking right now. Got my dudes in here with me just for a couple more minutes. I'm gonna get them up out of here, but I wanted them to be able to come in and shed some knowledge and be able to educate the people on some things that they heard from media day earlier on today. I'm gonna ask them one more question before I ask them one more question about a couple quotes or just things that they also took away that they heard from some players, maybe even from the head coach Nate McMillan. Of course, I want to remind you guys in a reset. You're watching Tate's Take. We like to call it where basketball lives. And got my dude sitting here with me, man. Got the CEO and owner of the 3 Point Conversion, also a podcast host. I'm sorry, a show host, excuse me, radio show host, that being Raphael Haynes, and of course, a podcast host and jack of all trades in Edwin Powell. Go and give him a follow at Hawks Beat on social media. Um, just listen to some of the things that you guys are talking about, especially with from an entertainment aspect. All the days of selling gazebos and plush couches. Come to the game. You can lay out on a plush couch and come up here and have a drink and bring your friends. Social outings and what is that? The swipe left. I'm not doing all the dating app stuff, but what do you call this? The swipe left, Tinder night and all
Hey
that.
man, you
Those
talking
days
to
is
two married men, bro? You know we ain't fit.
no. Well,
You
look,
know we ain't fit
look,
to chime in
look,
on
look,
that.
I don't listen. Y'all be at more games than me. I thought y'all might have knew what it's called, but now you try to put me on the light. Now I gotta. Now I got something. Now okay. Now I see where we. Now I see where we going. Okay. Now I owe. Uh, uh, thank you, Ed. But but no more. Tinder night and this and that. It's no more, come up here and hang out and social gatherings and social outings. By the way, there's going to be a basketball game played here later on tonight, too. Those days are over. Now it's about coming in, wearing your red, bleeding, Hawks Nation, standing up, getting loud, and all that good stuff. And, Lou Williams definitely mentioned something about, he's from here, born and raised, and he's on his second tenure of being a Hawk, and he's never seen it like this. He had chills going through his body, seeing the way that people came to support because it wasn't like that the last time around. I think that speaks volume. I want you guys to kind of talk a little bit about what you want and need to see, because there's a lot of stuff going on in around these communities. It's one of the biggest places for nightlife, if not the biggest. We know about the strip clubs and everything else that goes on. There's just regular stuff to do here. How important does how important is it for the fan base to come out and support from the jump right out of the gate for this team, and even more so, just talking about some of the other things that people may not necessarily take, um trying to find my words here. Some things that people might actually take for granted a little bit, that you believe is keys to what Atlanta could be trying to put together for the upcoming season.
I would say this. I mean, the Atlanta Hawks are the hottest sports team going right now. You know, you got the Falcons. You're not really sure which road that thing is going to go, and the United are having some issues. The Braves are doing pretty well, but when the Hawks are going, man, this city will be electric. I mean, like last year during the run, the city was electric, and it's good for the city. More people are out. More people are going to restaurants. The money is good for the money. You know what I'm saying? Um, yeah, gone are the nights where they have Tinder, where they have the promotions. Now listen, they're charging $5 for the open run on Saturday now, right? Hey, and for all my Wire fans, the price of the brick done gone up. They paying for these dudes. These practices ain't gonna be free no more. Go ahead and shoot us a
Is that
five
a hold on, Ed? Did you just make a dope reference?
Hey man, everybody that has seen The Wire, the greatest show ever created, they understand what I'm talking about. Price
Let
of the
me
brick
find
done
out my
gone up,
boy.
man.
Let me find out my boy Ed giving drug references.
Hey man, it's just simple economics though. But I mean, it's very important that the Hawks do well, and I think they will, and the city will definitely embrace them like they did last year.
No doubt, no doubt. Just learned something new today about Ed. I don't know if you knew this, Raphael, or not, but I just learned something new.
Yeah, I know. I see they
Raphael,
come
what,
during
what
the games.
yeah. I'm gonna have to watch myself when I'm hanging out with Ed, man. I don't know. He might have some bodies in the trunk. Raphael, give me your take, man, about just what you've seen from, because a lot of people don't realize that this is a very important piece and key element too to this team. And you see, a lot of times you go to a lot of Hawks games. We've all talked about being behind this team and covering them for so many years. The Knicks come to town, Lakers come to town, and you've got more people. You would think it's a home game for the opposing team more so. I think that stuff makes a significant difference, in my opinion. And by the way, also having the respect from other teams, because the Hawks are going to be highlighted and circled on people's calendars now. It ain't like, oh, we going to Atlanta to go to Magic City and we're going to go hang out for a little bit. By the way, we got to play the Hawks. We got a basketball game, but we're going to, they're the scum of the earth. We're going to destroy them. They have to be respected now. Give me your take on all of those things, including the Atlanta Hawks fan base, and what you feel like this team needs to see from them in the upcoming season.
Well, honestly, I don't think it's about the fans. The fans are ready to support. The Braves, they've been let down too many times. The Falcons, the owners are not, or GMs are not doing what the fans want them to do. So the fans are waiting to go crazy, scream, and all of that. So it's not about the fans; it's about the Hawks, because we've seen them come and support. Once they got Trey's first, I'll never forget it. Trey's first year in April, when they're with 15 and 48 or whatever, and they're playing. What's a bad team? I'm just name a bad
The
team. Like
Magic.
the Magic.
Let's start with the Sacramento Kings, for crying out loud.
The King, yeah, the Kings back in there. The Kings or Magic, and it's jam packed. It was crowded in Atlanta, but they saw the excitement. So I think it's up to the Hawks to keep that up. The fans, we saw them come. We seen them come last year in the playoffs. So it's up to the Hawks to keep that up. If they keep that up, to play well and compete, you won't have to worry about the fans, because the fans need something to cheer about. You got people that's moved here in the last 5 to 7 years. They were here with this rebuild, so they feel a part of this team. So the fans are good. It's just the players need to keep that up. As you mentioned, right now the other teams, you won't have to worry if you're a fan to come into the game. You won't have to worry about load management playing the Hawks like we used to see. It's been plenty of games we had to cover when the Clippers came to town. Kawhi didn't play, PG didn't play, Lou didn't play, and we seen a lot of them games right here. When we're covering them, you won't see that.
Hey, and shout out to all of those media folks that cover the Hawks and say like the Orlando Magic on a Sunday at like 2 p.m. when all the other media outlets aren't there. But go ahead, Raphael. Go ahead and finish.
Point taken. I wish I had a bell to ring for Edwin right there.
Tier 2. But yeah, so but yeah, you don't have to worry about that now as fans. They're gonna come play. They're gonna, matter of fact, they would do the load management the game before, so they'll be ready to play the Hawks. That's how it's gonna be nowadays. So yeah, it's gonna be different, man. It's gonna be good to see that. It's gonna be good to see the fans be there the whole year, the entire year, and see Atlanta play as well as we think they're gonna play. Uh, what I like about the players and they bought in is the fact that they will go ahead with the fans. You'll see them raising their hands up, cheering, jumping, getting the crowd. You watch Cam. Cam does that a lot. JC does that a lot.
Mm-hmm.
That's good. That's what you want. And then of course we will see if you're a what's the word? If you love celebrities, if you're one of them people that, oh my God, I seen Future, I seen, come to the arena this year. I guarantee you it will be packed and filled with celebrities.
Let me say this much. I know we're getting ready to get out of here. Obviously, Monday Night Football and all that kind of stuff.
Hey, don't say all that kind of stuff. Don't say that. Let's not go there. Let's not go there, DeShaun. I know
all,
this is a basketball show, but let's not go there.
all that football stuff, that football garbage, that football. Listen, my team is 0-3, bro. So don't listen. You're lucky I didn't ring your phone after that performance
Yeah,
from
that's
Justin
right.
Fields. Almost okay. So don't get me started. He only got sacked almost double-digit number of times.
Hey, look,
Don't
don't
get
turn
me.
this. Hey, you want entertainment? Don't turn this into the Bears because I will give them entertainment talking about that game. Please don't.
At
Let's
least,
speak past
at
this. I will
least
go
we
crazy.
gave you. At least the Lions gave you some entertainment. You know what? Sometimes, you know what? I promise I'm gonna get up off of this. I'm almost finished. I promise we're gonna conclude because I don't want to keep y'all any longer. But sometimes I just now watch the Detroit Lions to see if they can find a new way to lose that I've never seen before in my life. And they did that with a 66-yard field goal on yesterday. It all makes sense. Getting ready to do the closing remarks. Um, Edwin, you're not from Baltimore, are you?
Nah, man, I'm from Tampa.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure.
Boy.
Oh, so now, I'm gonna let Ed live. I'm gonna let Ed live. But no, given some of the closing remarks, to go behind this for you guys. I appreciate you guys for coming on. Um, what is the one quote that you may have taken away from any player, any coach whatsoever, on today on media day that's going to stick with you throughout the season? When you're writing, when you're referencing this team, you might say, hey, this guy I remember at media day said this, and that's going to be a reference point that's going to stick with me long term. What could that potentially be? What caught your attention the most? And even closing remarks coming after that from you guys, please and thanks. Ed up first.
I would just say it's not a specific remark. If you're listening to Nate McMillan was talking about his staff and the new guys that he had brought in. Some of the guys have gone from place to another, and as does the NBA coaching carousel. And the way he was talking about his staff and the confidence that he had in guys like his son and guys that he brought in, the Nick Van Exel, the confidence that he had in those assistants. The average fan doesn't understand how much work assistant coaches do in the NBA. And
Mm-hmm.
so he believes in that staff just as much as he believes in his players. And I think that's very pivotal. And if there's any gains that you see from the players, you got to credit your assistants. So I'll always think about what he was talking, how he was just affirming his assistants and saying like, "Yo, man, I got a good crew. I got my crew, and like they ready." And to me, like that's a little bit. I take away more than that than any of the player, but that's kind of what I take away from it.
And yeah, hashtag whole squad ready. Go ahead and plug what you got going on, the projects you're working on, things that are coming up. Hawks Beat podcast. I encourage everybody to go and follow. If there's anything extra that you may want to add that I didn't.
Yeah, man. As always, man, it's dope chopping it up with y'all, man. Y'all know how we do. The Hawks Beat podcast is coming back. Probably the end of this week, starting our 8th season. We banged out about close to 90 podcasts last season. We transitioned into a post game podcast. So after each game, regardless, we shout out a podcast to you. So we're giving it to you a lot more frequently this year. We're going to try to do the same thing. But Hawksbeat Podcast, you can find it on all your streaming platforms. On Twitter at Hawksbeat. Y'all know how to get at me. You know what I'm saying? I'm around. So we're looking forward to covering the Hawks this year in whatever capacity. And, we're gonna make it do what it do.
I'm looking forward to getting on Ed's podcast. Next time I get an invite, I'm coming on there giving all kind of drug references. Raphael, Raphael, give me a notable quote that you took away from earlier today's media day, and follow that up with some closing remarks, including letting everybody know about your upcoming projects and things that you're working on.
All right. So what I took away is that the Bears should fire Nagy. So, oh my bad. Dang. See, still on it. My fault, man. Fire Nagy. All right. So let me. You said the Hawks. My fault. So no. Cam Reddish
At
saying
least
that.
listen. At least Nagy didn't go off running his mouth about how we're gonna do this and do that and punch people in the face and do all this other kind of stuff that Dan Campbell, I think
Yeah.
his name is. I don't even know. You ain't even been there long enough to talk like that. My bad. I got a little extra. Go ahead, Raphael.
No, Cam Reddish saying that I didn't say that. No, that was funny though.
Yeah,
But
that was perfect.
that was funny. But
That
he said
was perfect.
I didn't say that. But no, it honestly it was bogey. I think everyone else was talking about, well, we can't, we got to focus on this year. This is, we did great last year, but let's focus on this year, or we got to get better this year. I can't remember, but I know for a fact that the first person I heard say this was Bogey, and Bogey said, "Look, last year was last year. I'm not thinking about last year. We can't think about last year." That was the biggest statement of the entire conference. That right there let me know that
hmm
they're not satisfied. They know
hmm
that they can't dwell on that. I mean, that was big. And then after that, everyone else kept, kind of followed. They didn't say, they might not have said those words, exact words, but it was, hey, it's about this year. That stood out to me just because of the fact that, like I said, that's what a veteran team does. You know what I'm saying? You younger teams that do well, they harp on it. And like I mentioned earlier, usually everyone is media day, they're happy, they weren't serious, but you saw a focus about them. They were all focused, all of them. So that's what stood out. And again, I appreciate it, man. Always good to chop it up with Ed as well. The 3-point conversion, man. We're on YouTube. Check out and subscribe to the YouTube channel, man. We have the Hawks, Charlotte Hornets. Now we're going to be providing videos and clips from every NBA team. We cover Georgia Tech, cover UCF, Clemson, Georgia State, WNBA teams. We cover it all. We got the radio show every Saturday morning. If you're in Atlanta on 1100 AM, WWE The Real. Also go to iHeartRadio and go to the 3-point conversion radio station. The radio is nationally syndicated there. What else? It's a lot. We got a lot, but hey, appreciate it again, man. Appreciate it again, Ed. Always good, chop it up with you, man. Always learn some drugs. Hey, real quick, Ed, come with that. with the vest. You know, he be killing with the sweater and the tie. I'm like, oh,
Yeah,
this
yeah,
gentleman. You sit next to
yeah,
that Joker. Oh, like that's why I was surprised when he said that.
yeah. Nah, no doubt, man. He
Hey,
always
the OG,
coming.
old school G.
Yeah, OG. Yeah, OG Ed always coming with some drip, man. One of these days I'm gonna pull my Croc skins out, man, my Gators or something. You know
Right.
what I'm saying? I'm gonna have to pull the reptile shoes out. But no, I
Hey,
Hey,
thank you guys so much.
Deshaun, wait.
Go ahead. That boy put his hand up like he was in first grade. Go ahead.
Right. Can we just give Ed though props? Ed was the first to do the post game reports video. What no one was doing it.
Mhm.
Ed was the first one to do it. He
No,
was. Ed, hey, I asked
Ed,
Ed, I said, Ed, can I do it? Ed, you mind him? He was like, go ahead, man. We started next
you
thing you
asked
know.
him. You asked him like he had to fill out a permission
You know,
slip, like you was going on a field trip.
I was like, yo, bro, it's cool because you know you see people copying you, man. I don't like that stuff when they copy you and they don't give you credit. And I kind of took the format, I flipped it a little bit, but it was like it was dope. And he was like, yeah, man, go ahead. I was stood next to him, watching my did mine, and then next thing you know, after the game, you thought it was a concert because like 15 people doing the post game
Yeah.
reports. Shout out to Ed.
It's all
hey, I,
good,
I
man.
appreciate that, man. I appreciate that.
You kind of made Ed sound ancient for a second, man, but it's all good. We're gonna let you ride on that one. Like you almost threw it back to like old school cell phone. Remember we used to have a cell phone? You have to flip it down from the bottom.
The
Remember
Zach
talking to him
Morris,
and pull the antenna
Zach
up with the
Morris,
teeth.
yeah, the Zach Morris
Remember
cell
you
phone.
had
Yeah,
And
yeah.
with the orange backlight, that's on another conversation. Listen, man, I really appreciate you guys for coming through, showing some love. In conclusion, for episode number 98, appreciate my guys again. Give them a follow. Raphael Haynes, owner, CEO, and radio host of the 3 Point Conversion on Twitter at 3 Point Conversion at 3PTCNVRSN. If you don't know it, then just go to YouTube, follow this thing, and slow it down a little bit. And then, of course, to my dude, Edwin Powell, go and check him out, man. He's been doing this for a while, and he's very good at what he does. And he gives you all of the comprehensive breakdown on his podcast, Hawks Beat, at Hawks Beat on social media, any and everything 365 ATL, true to Atlanta Hawks. So appreciate you guys, man, so much for coming on. Appreciate everybody for watching. Remember to go and follow along on all social media platforms at Tate's Take Hoops, where basketball lives. That's TATES TAKEHOOPS. And don't forget to go and tell your mama, your grandmama, and your baby mama where they can find the best, the most entertaining, the most informational, and of course, the most educational basketball content on the planet in the form of a podcast. Signing off, concluding episode number 98, getting closer to number 100, God willing. I'll talk to you guys in the next one. Bye.